For over 7 decades, he's been the heartbeat of American music. Willie Nelson, the red-headed stranger with braids, the outlaw who redefined country music, the gentle soul who sang us through heartbreak and hope with that unmistakable voice. At 92 years old, Willie Nelson has outlived most of his contemporaries, outlasted countless trends, and continued touring when others half his age have long since retired. But recently, something changed. The man who seemed immortal finally acknowledged that even legends must say goodbye. Tonight, we're taking you inside what many believe was Willie's farewell performance, a concert that left not a single dry eye in the house and reminded the world why this gentle giant of music has touched millions of hearts across the globe. This is the story of one magical night when Willie Nelson stepped onto the stage one last time, carrying with him nearly a century of life, love, loss, and the kind of music that defines the American soul. If you love country music and the legends who shaped it, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Now, let's step into that sacred space where Willie said his goodbye. To understand the weight of this moment, we need to appreciate what Willie Nelson represents at 92 years old. This isn't just any musician stepping onto the stage. This is a living piece of American history. Willie Nelson has been performing professionally since the 1950s. Think about that for a moment. When he started his career, Elvis was still a teenager. Television was new, and country music was just beginning to find its voice on the national stage. In the 1970s, Willie helped create the outlaw country movement, rebelling against the polished Nashville sound and returning country music to its raw, authentic roots. Songs like his version of Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain and Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys became anthems of a generation. By 92, Willie's body bore the evidence of nearly a century of living. Years of touring, performing, and the natural process of aging had taken their toll. His movements were slower, his voice had deepened with age, but somehow the soul of his music remained untouched by time. What made Willie extraordinary was his refusal to stop. While other musicians his age had long since hung up their guitars, Willie continued touring over 100 shows a year well into his 80s and early 90s. His bus, nicknamed Honeysuckle Rose, became as legendary as the man himself. At this stage of his life, Willie's touring family included his sons Lucas and Micah, both accomplished musicians in their own right. His sister Bobby, who played piano in his band for decades, had passed away in 2022, leaving a hole in both his heart and his sound. Recent years had brought health scares and concerns about Willie's ability to continue performing. Fans noticed he was sitting more during shows, taking longer breaks between songs, and sometimes appeared to struggle with the physical demands of live performance. Those closest to Willie began to understand that this remarkable run might be coming to an end. The man who had given everything to his music was finally reaching the point where his body might not be able to keep up with his spirit as Willie prepared for what many suspected would be his final concert. The weight of 7 decades in music, countless fans, and a lifetime of songs carried extra meaning. This wasn't just another show, it was a farewell to a way of life that had defined him for nearly his entire existence. The venue chosen for what many believed would be Willie's farewell concert was perfect in its intimacy and significance. Rather than a massive arena or stadium, this was a place where every person in the audience could feel connected to the legend on stage. The theater held just enough people to create that special energy that Willie had always preferred, big enough to feel the crowd's love, small enough to see faces and connect with individual hearts. The venue had hosted countless legendary performances over the years, making it a fitting location for this historic moment. When word spread that this might be Willie's final performance, ticket demand was unprecedented. Fans from across the country, many of whom had followed Willie for decades, made pilgrimages to be present for this potentially historic night. The audience that gathered represented every generation that Willie's music had touched. Grandparents who had first heard him in the 1960s sat next to teenagers, discovering his music through streaming platforms. Parents brought their children, wanting them to witness living history. Music journalists, documentary filmmakers, and photographers filled the venue, all aware that they might be documenting the end of an era. The air was thick with anticipation and the weight of history being made. Behind the scenes, Willie's preparation routine remained unchanged despite the significance of the evening. He meditated quietly, tuned his legendary guitar trigger, and spent time with family members who had joined him for this special night. Willie's sons Lucas and Micah were there, along with other family members who rarely appeared at his concerts. Their presence added to the sense that this evening was different, more personal, and potentially final. The opening performers, carefully chosen friends and collaborators, set a tone of reverence and celebration. They spoke about Willie's influence on their careers and on American music as a whole, preparing the audience for something truly special. As showtime approached, the energy in the venue became electric with emotion. Audience members hugged strangers, shared stories of how Willie's music had touched their lives, and prepared themselves for what they sensed would be an unforgettable evening. When the lights dimmed and Willie's band took the stage without him, the audience knew that in just moments they would witness something that would stay with them for the rest of their lives. The anticipation was almost unbearable, filled with love, gratitude, and the bittersweet knowledge that all good things must end. The moment had arrived. As Willie Nelson stepped onto the stage at 92 years old, carrying his beloved guitar trigger, the entire venue fell into reverent silence. This was more than a concert entrance. It was a master returning home one last time. Willie's entrance was notably different. From his usual casual approach, he moved more slowly, more deliberately, but with a dignity and presence that filled the entire space. The audience rose as one, applauding not just the performer, but the man and the lifetime of music he represented. As Willie adjusted his microphone and settled onto his stool, the silence was profound. You could hear a pin drop as thousands of people held their breath. Witnessing what felt like a sacred moment in music history, Willie's choice for his opening song was deeply meaningful, a gentle, reflective piece that immediately established the intimate, heartfelt tone of the evening. His voice, weathered by age but still carrying that distinctive phrasing and emotion, filled the venue like a warm embrace. The sight of Willie at 92 was both inspiring and poignant. His famous braids were now white, his movements economical but purposeful. Every gesture seemed to carry the weight of decades of performance experience and the knowledge that moments like these were precious and numbered. The audience's response was immediate and emotional. Many were visibly moved from the very first notes, understanding that they were witnessing something extraordinary. The connection between performer and audience was palpable, electric with shared emotion. Willie's interaction with his band members, including his sons, was filled with extra meaning. Glances, nods, and musical conversations that had developed over years of playing together took on special significance in this context. Willie's spoken introductions to songs were more reflective than usual. He shared brief stories, memories, and thoughts that gave insight into his mindset on this special evening. His words were carefully chosen, each one carrying extra weight. Despite his age, Willie's guitar playing remained distinctive and moving. His famous nylon string guitar trigger, worn through decades of playing, produced those familiar tones that have become synonymous with authentic American music. The early songs in the set were carefully chosen to establish the emotional arc of the evening. Each selection seemed to build upon the previous one, creating a narrative that spoke to a lifetime of experience, love, loss, and reflection. While Willie's physical movements were more limited than in his younger years, his stage presence remained commanding. Every movement was purposeful, every gesture meaningful, demonstrating that true charisma transcends physical limitations. As Willie settled into the performance, the energy in the venue transformed from reverent silence to warm, shared emotion. The audience began to relax into the experience, understanding that they were part of something truly special. As the concert progressed, Willie Nelson took his audience on an emotional journey through 7 decades of American music and his own remarkable career, from his early songwriting classics to his recent interpretations of standards. The variety demonstrated the incredible breadth of his musical journey and his ability to find truth in any song he approached. Between songs, Willie shared stories that he had rarely told in public. These weren't rehearsed anecdotes, but genuine reflections on his life, his music, and the people who had shaped his journey. Each story added layers of meaning to the songs that followed. When Willie's sons joined him for several numbers, the generational connection was deeply moving. The musical conversation between father and sons represented not just family harmony, but the passing of musical traditions from one generation to the next. The audience's participation evolved throughout the evening. Willie encouraged this connection, understanding that his music had always been about shared experiences and common emotions. Despite his age, Willie's technical skill remained impressive. His phrasing, timing, and musical interpretation showed that, while his voice might have changed with age, his artistic understanding had only deepened. Certain songs clearly carried extra emotional weight for Willie. His delivery became more intense, more personal, as if he were sharing his deepest feelings with trusted friends rather than performing for an audience. Some of the most powerful moments came during Willie's quietest songs. In these intimate performances, his age became an asset, adding gravitas and authenticity to lyrics about love, loss, and the passage of time. The chemistry between Willie and his longtime band members was evident in every song. These musicians had shared countless stages together, and their musical communication was so refined it seemed telepathic. The concert's lighting and staging were designed to support the emotional journey rather than distract from it. Willie remained the focus, with subtle changes in lighting helping to emphasize the mood and meaning of different songs. As the evening progressed, it became clear that Willie was building toward something special. The song selection and emotional intensity suggested that the most meaningful moments were yet to come, creating anticipation for what would surely be an unforgettable conclusion. As Willie Nelson's concert reached its conclusion, the atmosphere in the venue became charged with emotion. Everyone present seemed to understand that they were witnessing not just the end of a concert, but possibly the end of an era in American music. Willie's choice of closing songs was deeply meaningful, reflecting on themes of gratitude, love, and the acceptance of life's natural cycles. Each song felt like a personal message from Willie to his audience, a way of saying thank you for a lifetime of shared musical experiences. In his final spoken moments on stage, Willie shared reflections that felt like a gentle goodbye. Without explicitly saying it was his farewell, his words carried the weight of someone who understood that all journeys, no matter how wonderful, must eventually come to an end. The audience gradually realized what they were witnessing. The applause became more intense, more emotional, as people understood that they might be seeing Willie Nelson perform for the last time. Many were openly crying, not from sadness, but from gratitude for having shared this moment. Willie's family members joined him on stage for the final numbers, creating a visual representation of his musical legacy continuing through the next generation. The sight of grandfather's sons and bandmates sharing the stage was profoundly moving. When Willie took his final bow, the standing ovation seemed to last forever. The audience refused to let the moment end, understanding that when they left the venue, something irreplaceable would be over. Willie stood graciously accepting their love, clearly moved by the outpouring of emotion as the lights came up and reality set in. Audience members lingered in the venue, reluctant to leave. Many shared embraces with strangers, bonded by having witnessed something truly special together. The air was filled with a mixture of gratitude and gentle sadness. Music critics and historians present understood that they had witnessed a truly historic moment. Willie Nelson's farewell concert would be remembered as the end of one of the most remarkable careers in American music history. The concert's impact extended far beyond those present in the venue. Social media filled with heartfelt tributes from fans who had followed Willie's career for decades, sharing their favorite memories and expressing gratitude for his musical contributions. Willie's final message to his audience was one of love and gratitude. Without words, his presence on stage communicated a lifetime of dedication to his craft and appreciation for the fans who had supported him throughout his incredible journey. At 92 years old, Willie Nelson gave his audience something more precious than just a concert. He gave them a perfect farewell, filled with love, gratitude, and the kind of authentic emotion that has defined his entire career. Whether this was truly Willie's final performance or simply one of his most meaningful, it reminded everyone present why he has remained such a beloved figure in American culture for over 7 decades. Willie Nelson's touching farewell concert wasn't just about saying goodbye, it was about celebrating a life lived in service to music and the millions of people who found comfort, joy, and understanding in his songs. For those lucky enough to be there, It was a night they'll never forget. For the rest of us, it's a reminder that true legends never really say goodbye. They live on in the music they've given us and the emotions they've helped us understand about ourselves. Willie Nelson may have stepped away from the stage, but his music will continue touching hearts and souls for generations to come. If this tribute to Willie Nelson's incredible career moved you, please share it with fellow music lovers and subscribe for more stories about the legends who've shaped American music. Thanks for joining us for this celebration of one of America's greatest musical treasures. Keep the music alive.